how do you take the limit as x approaches 2 for a polynomial rational function? Specifically in this case, x² minus 5x plus 6 all over x minus 2. Well, the first thing we should try is direct substitution. If we were to let x equal 2, are we going to end up doing something illegal in math? Well, let's have a look. If we let x equal to 2 up here in the numerator, well, I don't see any problems there. You'll just get some integer most likely. Same with the denominator. If you just put 2 into the denominator, you'll get 2 minus 2, which is 0. Okay, that's also not a problem. It's an integer, right? It's something we can get. However, the problem is, of course, the fact that this is a denominator. It's okay to get 0, but the 0 cannot be in the denominator, or it cannot be in the lower part of a fraction. So no, we cannot directly substitute in x equals 2 because we'll end up dividing by 0, and you cannot do that in math. So what can we do instead? Well, when you can't directly substitute, you should try factoring or reducing your function. So what could we do here? Well, can we somehow get it so we can either cancel out the x minus 2 with something in the numerator? Well, most likely, let's go ahead and try and factor just the numerator, right? So what can this end up looking like? Okay, so how do we factor a polynomial? Well, this is something you should have learned in high school, maybe even elementary school. The way I like to think about it is we need two numbers that add together to get -5 and multiply together to get +6. Well, if we need a negative number from two additions, we probably need a negative number to be one of our two numbers. So we know that, for example, I immediately know -2 and -3, right? -2 plus -3 is going to equal -5. But of course, to get a positive number when at least one of them has to be negative to get a negative number from its sum, that means we probably also have to have the second number be negative, because two negatives multiplied together is going to give us a positive. So -2 times -3 is in fact going to be 6. So that is how we're going to factor our numerator up here. So we're going to get x minus 2 multiplied by x minus 3. And what do we find? Well, x minus 2, because if we put brackets around the denominator, can cancel with the x minus 2 in the denominator. So these two can go away, and we'll be left with the following. There we go. We have found that this function is actually the same as saying x minus 3. And in this case, can we directly substitute x equals 2? And the answer is yes. We can just let x equal to 2, and we'll get -1, and we're not breaking any math rules. So there we go. We find that in this case, we can substitute in x equals 2 now that we know what this can be transformed into. And we find that it's the same as saying 2 minus 3, which is going to equal to -1, which means that the limit of this function is actually equal to -1.